Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts. We're doing an unboxing, another offline product gaming review. This is Strife, the Veteran Edition for the Nintendo Switch. To jump right into it, my physical copy came with the update version 1.0.3 already on the cartridge, but sadly there was an update available. Now this physical copy was distributed through Limited Run Games, so getting a copy will not be the easiest. Now this is the first time I ever played Strife. It is a heavily inspired Doom design aspect, but it only has the characteristics and graphical design. They definitely went with a different approach than your typical just a Doom clone or just Doom kind of style game where you run in and blast everything, flip a couple switches, and then carry on. Strife tried to introduce a different style by introducing like a more of an action adventure, while introducing a more of an RPG-esque style where you can make decisions as well as do some little bit of upgrades to your character, as well as it's got a hub world, map world where you branch off to go into different sections and throughout the gameplay. So it at least approached it much differently. Now, graphically, I'd say it more resembles Doom 64 than like the classical Doom 1 and 2, where it's got more of a 3D graphics. You shoot up and down instead of it being like the on-grid where you can't look up and down and so on of the original FPS or Doom games. It's more Doom 64 in graphical and game design wise. But as I said, though, it is a pretty much Doom, but it has some interesting things it changes about it. In terms of you can increase your maximum life, you can increase your accuracy in the game, as well as increase your ammo pouches to increase more capacity of carrying, as well as it even has a money system in the game where you can go to stores and buy armor, med packs, buy ammo, as well as buy guns of specific kinds. So it's got a bit of an adventure style to it, as well as it does matter about decisions and conversations you make between the NPCs, that it can affect the overall ending you get from the game. As I've known, there are 3 endings in the game. There's basically the bad ending, the semi-bad ending, and the semi-good ending. Now, when I first played it, I got the semi-bad ending, which it is debated whether which one is the good ending between the semi-good and semi-bad. But overall, I think the game was enjoyable. I won't say I ultimately had a blast with the game, but I did enjoy the aesthetics, the gameplay, as well as it did introduce a bit of the feature that I talked about previously in Turok 1, where enemies can respawn. Now, the game has in the settings you can turn this off or turn this on where enemies will respawn in a certain amount of time. Now, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed turning it off so I can explore at my own leisure, and if I wanted to play on higher difficulty, then I could turn it on. I do wish Turok, the first one, had that feature. Now, I don't know if that's something that Night Dive added to the game, or if it was originally in the game when it first came out, but that's a much appreciated setting to the game. Now, the game has like multiple guns in the game, as well as you got like crossbow, pistol, plasma rifle guns, you got rocket launchers, and some of them got special ammos between them. Navigating between the guns can be a little tedious since you have to navigate between every single gun and each ammo instead of having each gun and you can press another button to switch the ammos between that gun. It can be a little tedious in the weapon wheel area to switch between them. But overall, for the classic style of the game, the environments, the gameplay, it all worked really well. It was fast, fluid, and smooth. I never had really any issues. The only problems I ever noticed that I do not know if this is a bug through the Night Dive game version or if this was originally how the game was when it first came out. But there was a few times where they talk about like approaching something stealthily, but I could never figure out how to approach anything stealthily. You go through a gate and the alarms go off. As well as that there were times where enemies don't attack me and I'm trying to be stealth, but then one enemy out of random would just start shooting me. Usually it's a robot or something like that. And once I shot back at that robot, then it alerted everyone, so I don't know what I was supposed to do. Then just get shot for the heck of it. It was just a little weird in that area, but I don't know if that's how the original game was or if that's just a bug through the Night Dive version of my experience. They didn't ruin anything. It was just better just go in there and blast everything away anyway, so it doesn't really matter about trying to go into stealth, and I don't really even recommend you're going into it. As I said, it's like Doom, but it tried to introduce a HUD world, an adventure-esque, story-wise. It's definitely your 1990s kind of story, world apocalypse, fantasy realm kind of style. Definitely reminds me of those 90s and 80s fantasy action flick movies in the past where and you save the girl, and then you save the day, and you're the hero, and you got the mystical weapon that can destroy the evil. The evil. It's your typical genericness, but I didn't mind it. I just enjoyed the game, the environment, the gameplay, and it was interesting to see how they were trying to do a different approach than your typical just run and gun and blasting. They try to introduce a story, progression upgrading system, as well as dialogue with voice acting. Though the voice acting is extremely muffled, it's sometimes extremely hard to hear people talk. So make sure you decrease the music's volume as well as the sound effects volume, and turn the voice acting volume all the way up, because man, it's really muffled. So that's just from the age and just the audio recording of the time. And I'm sure Night Dive would have liked to improve it, but you can only do so much with compressed and how the age of the audio. But overall, I enjoyed the game. I had fun. I don't know if I'll run through the game anytime soon. I got, like I said, the medium ending, and I don't know if I'm going to run through the game again to get the good ending or semi-good ending. I had a good time with it. I really enjoy these classic FPS games. I always enjoy it. I call them Doom clones because they really got that feel of Doom. I don't want to call them Doom clones, but I hope people understand what I mean by it's got the environment, this aesthetic, and so on, of the classic sprite graphics and so on. I love this style of gameplay. So it's really hard for me to say I recommend the game because I'm just nostalgic with this stuff. And even though I have no nostalgic or history with Strife, I still enjoyed the game for its mechanics, the gameplay, and of course Night Dive improved upon it, probably got the 2 joysticks working as well as making it fast and fluid and smooth, and make sure it's just polished as much as it can be. I never came across any massive issues, so I'm really appreciative to have this physical copy. Sadly, it seems that it only got released digitally and physically for the Switch. Hopefully, maybe get a PS4 or PS5 version down the road. I don't think there's a sequel to Strife, but I could be wrong. I don't ultimately look all this stuff up and everything like that. I'd like to be surprised if a new one pops up, but I think they did a good job, and I can't really ultimately say you should go out and get it unless this is a kind of genre and style and games you really enjoy, because as it said, it's a limit run physical copies, so getting a copy is going to be pretty expensive. It's only about a 6, maybe 8 hour gameplay wise, depending on how, if you only get one ending, you want to run through the game again and save certain spots. But that's also something I should note immediately. Make sure you have multiple save slots to your playthrough. That way you can be able to reload it in case you get stuck. Because there are some sections in the game where you can fall in a pit or fall in an area and not realize it, but you're completely stuck. And if you save in that area, then there's no way out. So just keep that in mind, that there is some trap zones in the game. So make sure to have at least 5 or 3 saves, backup saves, just in case you get stuck. And luckily, that's just something that, the general rule I've always done. Make as many backups as you can that the game allows you. That's why I always get upset when games only have you allow 1 save slot. They should never do that, because what if there's a bug or a problem where you get stuck? You should be able to reload it just as a backup. But other than that, I did enjoy myself, and I think it's something you should look into if you're willing to get it for the retro feel, if you're interested in these gameplays, or for the collective purposes of the game. So, like always, I try to leave links down in the description if you're interested in a copy. I mean, I recommend the game just because I love these kinds of games, but it depends on how much you want to pay and how expensive it's going to get down the road. I don't know how many copies that were made from Limit Run, so I don't know. I think it was a pre-order number, but I don't see too many available on eBay or at the time of making this video, so it could get pretty expensive. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!